Alright guys, you know what time it is. So, it's planting season. And I'm going to show you how to plant a couple of different plants. And that's going to be perfect. So all you do to take a plant out of here is you squeeze the bottom, tap it a little bit, squeeze the sides all the way around. Not really hard, but just enough to loosen it. And this should kind of just tap and fall right off. So this one's really root bound. So what we want to do with this is break up the roots just a little bit, being very gentle. You want to encourage them to grow out. Tease it out a little bit. And then set it just at the height of the soil. For this one, you can just grab the base of the plant and kind of fold these up. When I pack that down in there, we're not going to pack it super tight because we want those roots to be able to grow. And it's simple as that. Right here we got some golden lemon thyme I've never seen before, and it smells awesome and it looks wonderful. And we're going to plant that just a little over. You can leave these with these guys as well if you'd like. I'm going to just release them. Sometimes these have facts and stuff about watering and whatnot. That one's just a tag. But yeah, these are good to keep as a reminder if you don't know what your plant is. And then it'll tell you sometimes how deep to plant it, how much sun and water it needs, and that kind of stuff. Like for this one, has best care and fertile, well-drained soil, harvested fresh leaves as desired. So I'm noticing that this particular area stays pretty wet. So if that happens to be the case, we can end up moving this plant later as well. You want to figure out your placement. I think we're going to go right about there. Super simple. Take that one out, we'll keep the other one. Squeeze the sides, and you grab kind of the base of the plant supporting it just right out. Also really root bound, really soggy on this one. So we're going to just tease those out a bit. You could do it more or less depending on how bad these are. All this has to get ripped out anyway in this particular bed after the end of the season, which is a shame, but that's how this system works. This is a community garden bed. Voila. And then obviously you water them really well afterward. This soil is really moist, and so are these plants, so that may not be needed. All right, and you can play with the orientation of the plant when you put it in the hole, how you want it. I think that looks just fine. All right, so here we have some tomatoes, and this whole middle section is going to be tomatoes. I just seeded some inside, or literally just planted the seeds. So we got Celebrity, which I've never tried before. I just wanted to try that, and Rama tomatoes. So, interesting fact on tomatoes is you can plant them deeper up the root stem all the way up until right around here, until their first sets of leaves, because they'll actually root from the stem. So these are called Peony Packs. They come in like a little 4-pack. They're usually cheaper than the fully established ones, which I don't mind because this is experimental here. I don't want to pay a ton for plants that aren't going to work, but you do the same thing. You squish the sides around to be able to get them out, and you do not want to plant all 4 of these together. These are each individual plants, so you want at least a foot between them. So I think I'm going to do right here and here, here and here, something like that. And you can trim them throughout the season as well. as you can see. So we'll tease those apart a little bit. Separate these two. You want to separate these gently. You don't want to be breaking all the beautiful baby new growth on these. And just lift that up a little bit. Now you can plant these ones just a little bit deeper on that stem, like I was saying. And it'll actually root out from that stem. You don't want any of the tomato leaves touching the ground. They will, it can cause rot. So if there is any leaves touching the ground, you can clip those ones off. You'll notice that on the tomato plant, on the leaves, in between the main stem and the branch off, there's a little, kind of a little green thing poking up right there, and on this side too. Those will be new growths that you'll actually want to take off later on the plant. Kind of creates a weak point and too much foliage. Usually all of the better parts of the plants are going to be the flowering parts later on. Like you got a little flower right here. The flowers turn into the fruit of the plant. So if you have leaves that are too close to the ground, they're not going to get any farther away, so you can just trim them off. So later on, there's one over here that we might trim off. And these are all of the celebrity tomatoes, so I'll just put that in here so we don't forget. Super simple. This is a nice way to break this tactical shovel in. There's some actual gardening. Squeeze the packages on all sides. So for example, those leaves were pretty low. These are a little bit more spindly. So we're just gonna knock those off and just bury it a little bit deeper. I'm doing an experiment with this one, planting them so close together. You generally don't want to plant them so close together. But I want to see how they do stacked up right next to each other that close. So a lot of times they'll plant more than one plant in a cell in these trays, and it's hard to do, but you should kill or take away the smaller plants. We're gonna see if we can't separate this guy. I don't know, the roots are kind of really bound together. We'll see how it does. We'll make it an experiment plant. As that one grows, we might have to trim, most likely you're going to have to trim those baby plants off. So on this one also, these are too low, so we're just going to take those off gently. Gently massage these bad boys out of there. Perfect. There are planting guides and stuff like that, but I think experimentation is a little bit more fun. Generally 6 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches is how you, depending on the plant, how far you want to plant things apart. This is about 8 inches for me. I probably want to do a little bit farther than 8 inches for the peppers, because they can get kind of big.